Good morning. Cookie wants to say hi. Can you say hi to them? Who is that? Who is that? He's like, I don't know. Are you crazy, Mama? Are you crazy, Mama? Mwah. I love you so much. You want to go inside? You want to go inside? Oh, okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. Yes, we're recording. Okay. So what we're doing today, I still have to add fingernail tips and toenail tips to this little girl. So I've decided that it's much easier for me to do the tips if I am using a liner brush instead of trying to use one of the thicker ones. Eventually I catch on to these things. Oh, my chair squeaked. So I got a new chair and my hubby put it together last night. I just haven't gotten it back here yet. I've got that on my list of things to accomplish today. So, hopefully that will eliminate some of the annoying screaming that you're hearing. Unless it's me screaming. It's not really going to annoy you. Remove that. Okay. So, my goal is just to do the fingernails and the toenails on this baby. Inventory my doll bodies and start a couple of washes on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more babies. Those are not horrible goals, right? I don't feel like I can talk while I'm doing this, so forgive me. I'm not real happy with the consistency of this fingernail tip color. So I like to be able to go just into the pot and get a little bit of a thicker paint, but it's still a bit shaky this morning, so it didn't go as planned. So that should be better. going to show you, I did that on purpose, by the way. I'm going to show you how I clean it up. What I do. Oops. This is really hard to do when you're shaky. This is just one of the lovely things I've been dealing with since I had to go out on medical leave with my PTSD flare. Some days it gets better as the day goes on. Some days it's just like that all day. And then some days I'm really fortunate and blessed and I don't have any of that going on. Today doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those days. Alright, so then I'm just going to bake these hands and feet. Yesterday, I don't think I recorded yesterday, but I have done her little eyebrows. Turn this off so maybe you can see a bit better. So she's going to have painted hair, and of course I'm going to redo her eyelashes, but I don't do that until I've actually done all of the hair, which I'm going to start very shortly here so I can get her done and sent off. So you'll notice I'm being really skimpy with my thinners. It's because this little bottle, this is all I have left. And I did order more, but it hasn't gotten here yet. I know for most people it would be simple just to jump in the car and run to Michael's and pick up a gallon. For me, it is not that simple. For me, You know, I really have to fight myself, and I guess the PTSD to be able to get out of the house. You know, it's kind of equal to being held captive, except for there's no physical captor. It's all in your mind, and then it translates into your body. So, like, if it was just that I was having anxious thoughts, you know, I've had anxious thoughts since I developed PTSD years ago, and that never stopped me. Anxious thoughts I can push through. At this point, with this stupid flare, the anxiousness is not just in my head or in my thoughts. It's moved into my physical body, and generally it goes straight from anxious feelings to complete and total debilitating fatigue, and it can do that within the course of an hour or less. You certainly lose a lot of freedom when you have to deal with PTSD. And you know, the worst part about PTSD is that I didn't get it because of someone who hated me, who did something terrible to me. You know, the PTSD came from loving someone who was very sick with addiction and bipolar disorder that was not managed, or very, very mismanaged. And there's a lot of psychotic tendencies. Were pretty scary, and there were mental, emotional attacks daily, and physical attacks whenever it happened, which was quite a bit, actually. But this is how I'm coping right now. So I've got the Camden and the Corbins. They're going to have painted hair as well, because they're what I called months and months and months ago the advanced detailing, before I moved everything in my shop to hyper-realistic. So I'm still going to do the hyper-realistic detailing, but I'm going to stay with the advanced, because that's what she ordered for the hair. And the advanced hair is the 3-dimensional painted hair. So I'm thinking, when I'm looking at this color vinyl, this is kind of a pinky peachy color, and I'm really thinking that I could probably do well with some shade of red, but maybe people get better at this with time. I still have a struggle. I still have to actually test out my wash on the part so I can see for myself what it's going to do. Okay, so I'm thinking this is going to be okay, because it just brought me to just a little bit of a light, warm pink. And I think that will be a nice base for this baby. And of course it's going to look a bit darker as I'm doing it, but you'll see as it starts to run down the limb, it's going to fade out a bit. And then of course, as always, I'm going to go over it with a little sponge just to catch the extras. If I were feeling particularly energetic today, then I would probably, while this was wet, I would probably mix up a modeling color a little bit thick, and I would apply the modeling over top of the wash. But I'm still pretty shaky, so I'm just going to try to let the shakiness subside a bit, and I'm just going to do the washes, which don't require me to be super accurate. For me, it's very easy to get lost in a piece of a project. Like, I can get lost pretty easily in sculpts like this. I'm sitting here and thinking about the things I'm supposed to be trying to do today. My counselor has told me to set really small goals and just try to achieve those. So, small goals today are to do 20 minutes of exercises on my step, of course, because right now for me the gym would be completely out of the question. I don't think I could even drive there right now. So those are my small goals. It's not much, but you know, I'll be very happy if I can accomplish that today. I also have the goal to check the status of my short-term disability claim, and that's been an ongoing struggle because the insurance company, Cigna, of course, through my employer, they approved my short-term disability benefits, but my treatment has been changing, and the estimated date of return to work has changed many times since this began, because nobody really knows like how long it's going to take somebody to bounce back from something like this. So basically what happened was the insurance company paid me for 3 weeks because my estimated return date was at the end of that 3rd week. I didn't get released to go back to work because obviously I was still struggling, and the insurance company closed the claim. So it's been an ongoing struggle since the end of July to try to get everything reinstated. And the insurance company keeps saying they're asking my doctor for records and a therapist for records, and then they're saying they're not receiving it, but the doctor that I see has proof that the faxes are going through and that everything's being sent. So my goal today for that is to call, to check online. I've not even been brave enough to do that yet to see if it's been updated. And then to call my rep and speak with her. And I know it's just a phone call, but it's very stressful for me. But I know I'm going to have to do it because, like, realistically, how long am I supposed to go without these benefits? I've been so grateful to all of the customers who have bought dolls. Always, but particularly in the last couple of months, because basically you guys are helping me live, because the insurance company has just, there's been so many hang-ups with that. When I spoke to my representative last week, she said that once she got all the information she needed, then it would only take her probably like 3 days. Within 3 days, it would all be updated and everything would be fixed. That was like last Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. And here we are, Wednesday again this weekend. Who knows if it's been fixed? have to build up the nerve to actually log on and look at it because it just stresses me out so bad. And it's hard for me, like, to even talk on the phone, particularly when I have to remember and recite dates and claim numbers and things like that, because, you know, PTSD makes it hard. It makes everything hard. And it's not just when you're having a panic attack. It's not just when you're having a flashback. It's when you're trying to talk on the phone, when you are trying to do anything, really. Like, I can't really remember details. If I'm anxious, I can't remember anything, hardly. Like, I might be able to tell the person my birth date, but that's about the extent of it. And that's not having, you know, a panic attack. That's just, it's just the normal for me right now. And I tell you, like, I went from being very, very high functioning. I mean, we're talking having at least 2 jobs, ran my own business, worked at the massage school. They made me do several positions. They made me do my job, which was clinic director. And then they decided, oh, hey, won't it be fun to make Betty go in and teach classes? And hey, let's not even train her to do it. Let's just let her figure it out on her own. And then the amount of crap that I had to deal with from a remote manager, I won't say her name, but she's basically the reason why I'm not able to work right now, because the harassment and the emotional abuse got to the point where it just completely flared. My PTSD was affecting, I have diabetes too, type 2 diabetes, and it was affecting my ability to manage my diabetes. Like, my blood sugar numbers were crazy high. Thank God that's better now. I mean, I still have diabetes, but it's not unmanageable. Because when you have diabetes, if you're upset, if you're anxious, if you're, you know, anything that causes the adrenaline to pump, which for me it does, like, randomly for no good reason, it will cause your liver to dump sugar into your bloodstream. And then, of course, being diabetic, what are you going to do with the sugar? So it's really been a struggle. I did communicate with my employer about the level of stress and about, you know, the teaching of the classes was too much for me. And basically the response that I got was, well, this other lady does it at this other campus. She doesn't have a problem with it. What's wrong with you, Betty? Why can't you do 2 people's jobs? Oh, wait, make that 3 because I had to cashier for myself too. Well, just was not pleasant. Not pleasant working for her at all. Sometimes I feel a little bitter because I'm like, you know, she has no idea what she's doing to people. Or she just doesn't care. She just doesn't care, maybe. Not really my problem. I mean, obviously, she caused me a problem. But she's the one who has to answer for all of that. Right now, you know, I'm just like trying to focus on getting myself back to the point where I can function. And I would love to be able to, like, multitask and work the way that I was able to before. But right now, I just can't. My therapist said that it doesn't do any good for me to feel bad about it because it's not going to help me. Making myself feel worse is just going to make my problems bigger. And believe me, like, I'm not trying to say that my issues are worse than anybody else's. I know there are a million people in the world who have it way worse than me, and I'm not I'm not complaining. I'm thankful to God for everything that I have and for everything I am able to do. So absolutely, please don't take it that way. So I'm keeping these washes a little bit drier than I normally do. Normally I really let them drip. But I'm not with these because I have all 3 tiers of my shelf full. And so I don't want them to be runny and run down on the ones below them, because then you can get spots that you really don't want. I'm sure my dog Cookie wonders who I'm talking to. Because I never used to, well, I don't think I had out loud conversations before when I was working. But now I feel like there might be an off chance that one of you people might be hanging out with me today. And who knows? I can't have my computer back here so I can see who's on because, I mean, look, I don't have room for that. And my luck, I would probably, like, cause something liquid to blow onto my computer and ruin that. This is a Xenia kit that I'm washing now. Painting now. And you'll notice that on some of them I use the dry brush to pull out, and some of them I use the sponge. I generally use the dry brush when there's lots and lots of little wrinkles, because the sponge doesn't really get down in there to pull out extra paint like the bristles of the brush do. So if it's particularly wrinkled, then I generally choose to use the dry brush rather than the sponge. This is Xenia by Olga Auer. She's very cute. She looks like a little grumpy baby. Some of these kits have big holes so that I can jam my fingers down in them. And some of them come and they barely have any hole at all. I really like the ones that have the larger holes. It makes it easier for me to work with the part. Plus it makes it easier for me to put the polyfill in after I weight each part. Generally on the head, I'm going to use both the sponge and I'm going to use the dry brush, because the head's pretty big to go over with the dry brush only. But there's lots of little wrinkles that I have to pull the extra paint out of. And I don't really bake after every wash. Usually I'll do a wash and then a layer, and then I'll bake. Most of the time I'll do a wash and then I do an immediate layer. But I'm not thinking I'm probably going to do that today. I also have babies that are hanging up on these nifty little hooks. In case you haven't noticed, and you may have, I actually work from a walk-in closet in my home. Because it allows me to close the door. It allows me to have a place that's set us apart from the rest of our home. We do have fur babies, and so I don't want my fur babies getting back here and getting on anything that I'm working on. Cookie is my service animal, so he kind of comes with me wherever I am. This is a Liam kit, one of the newest from Bonnie Brown. I really love her sculpts, by the way. She just makes such pretty babies. I also like this more neutral color vinyl that I see in a lot of her kits. They're so much easier to get them to a natural base. So I don't know if you can tell the difference, but basically I'm just warming up the vinyl. I'm just giving it a nice undertone so that when I overlay the skin layers, they look more natural. Sometimes with these lighter colored kits, I will go ahead and bake a wash individually, just because it allows me to make sure that I don't mess up the first layer, and I don't have to worry about moving some of the color that I need. If you hang around and watch me work for a while, you'll probably see that I never actually do two babies exactly alike. I don't know if that's like a mental dysfunction or if it's just an artistic preference. Like some kits I'll do the washes first, some kits if I know what color I'm definitely going to be moving toward, then I'll do the dark creases first, and then I'll do the washes. It just depends. Today I'm basically doing the washes on all of these because I'm shaky. And until that goes away, I don't want to have to do too much meticulous work. The nails just showed me that I need to like do something large for right now. And I'm always checking the parts that are hanging for drips. I've made the ones on the rack pretty dry so that I don't have to check them, because they're not gonna drip, because I've soaked off everything extra from them. These ones that are hanging on the bar, they're a little different, and they're hanging completely upside down, so they're gonna get the tips of the toes, the fingers, and the top of the head are going to get kind of runny. And that's even with taking off the extra. Pet peeve of mine is when the wash will get stuck down in between the little toes, and you'll end up with like a little dried piece of paint down there. I hate that, because then I have to get out my stupid skewers and perform minor surgery before I can move on to the next level. It's later. I will say one thing really great about this time that I've had to work more on the dolls, and that is that absolutely I have really been able to focus on my work days I'm able to focus. You know, I do this, I didn't really have a lot of time for it before, so I mean it's a good thing, I think. I can't decide if I want to do this color wash or if I want to do a different color wash. This is a Suzanne that I am working on. I'm thinking that might be a bit too dark. So I may start out with a mint green wash. I feel like she needs a little bit of neutralizing. Some of the kids do. Always make sure if you're using the mint green wash that it is really a wash, because if it's too thick, then you're going to have green spots on your baby. This girl is gigantic. I mean, she's not the biggest that I do, but she is absolutely much bigger than the infants that I normally work on. Sometimes these babies come with freckles already installed. I always think, well, that's serendipitous. It's when I don't have to think about pudding. Sometimes the coolest things can happen. See these big honking legs? Huge. I'm thinking the very pale pinks without much of the red, but they're more almost pastel but not quite. It's probably going to be the family that I want to keep her in. Rip apart everything I have here. Try and hang these limbs. Great. And these guys are going to drip, and that's okay. They're just going to have to drip. And these I'll actually have to bake in my oven. The washes are pretty fun, as long as you have the wash to a level that you can trust. And I'm super paranoid about green spots on a doll, so I make my green wash very, very, very thin. In fact, I may actually have to neutralize her 2 or 3 times before I get her to where I really want her to be. And then comes the big honkin' head. I'm almost out of the wash, so to make some more. And I'm gonna let everything be coated. This is such firm vinyl. My hair artist is going to have such fun rooting this head. I don't know how she does it. Like, I can root, and I do root good hair, but I'm so slow. So, and it stresses me out, so it's just better to have somebody else who that's their thing to do it. Now if you do end up getting a little bit of mint green chalky buildup, if it's thin, once the thinner flashes off, then you can take one of your dry brushes and you can just go over it like this and it'll smooth it down, it'll kind of dust off. I try very hard not to have any of that happen anyway. Okay, so everybody has been washed. And now they just need to flash. starting to get the heads back from my cloth body silicone babies. They're already painted, of course. So, the heads back, I mean, because they were off being rooted. So I have to figure out body inventory. I did order a few more bodies earlier this morning because I knew I was going to need some. I'm hoping I can at least get one put together today. So I have two that are ready, and then I have two more heads that are coming back this weekend. I believe this body would be pretty nice for one of these babies. And I'm still shaky. Thank God these thread well. So the body is threaded. Placed an order for 5 more bodies. So hopefully they'll be shipped in the next day or two. I also had to order eyes for these guys, these silicones. Maybe you guys would like to see one of the silicones. Let me go grab it. So, this is a silicone head. This is from the Olivia kit by Phil Donnelly. And she's very nicely rooted. And she got a shampoo yesterday, and she got her eyes yesterday. And so now she's ready whenever I'm able to get the body put together to be shipped home.